Hello, hello, hello. Happy holidays, everyone. We are in December. It is a new month. I'm your girl, Renee Nicole, as you already know. And this is another episode of Name a Better Duo. And this is the Black Wealth series. And I'm so excited because we are digging into a topic today that a lot of us are curious about and are learning more about. And yeah, so we're going to talk about that thing. We are talking about stocks today. Thank you, best friend. We're talking about stocks today. My music was a little loud. So I'm excited, and we're going to be talking with the beautiful Jasmine Alyssa about that topic. So we're going to hop into that thing in a little bit. But notice my festivity. I'm in the Christmas spirit. Got my red and my Christmas background. We are, hey, that's my grandmama. Hey. Thank you all for hopping on and being punctual. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that you are spending your Friday evening with me. It's gonna be some good conversation, and you're gonna definitely need to have your notebook. Hey, mama. Definitely gonna need to have your notebook and your pen. Our guest is here, so let's get started. Turn this music out. Hi, everyone.
I'm
Hey,
too high.
guys.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. You have the vibe going on. I like it. It looks
You know,
cozy. You got the candles and the
I'm on the
music
East
going.
Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so it's cold over here, but it puts me in the Christmas spirit. So I was like, let me bring the
I
Christmas
see
spirit to the
it. I
guests.
see it. I'm trying. I
How
feel like
are
I'm too
you?
high. Let me. I'm like I want to get
Oh,
down. I'm good. How are you? How have you been?
I've been really good. I've been really good. Good to see your face.
Good to see you.
I'm excited to have you today. I was just explaining to the guests that, of course, this is a continuation of our Black Wealth series. And I
Right.
wanted to dig into stocks. A lot of people have a lot of questions about it. A lot of people are just starting or haven't quite started yet. And I know that this is something that you have been doing for some time. And it's something that you've actually been doing your own IG Live series on your
Yeah.
Instagram. And I learned a few things. So I was like,
Yeah.
why not bring Jazz over here and just kind of dig into this topic that a lot of people are intimidated by, but it doesn't have to be intimidating.
Yes.
So
I love this
why don't you
topic. Thank you so
introduce
much for having
yourself? Let us know like how long you've been doing stocks, and just let us know who you are.
I'm Jasmine Alyssa, and I've been investing in stocks since 2010. And I know one of your questions was who introduced me or why did I start investing? My mom actually came to me and my sister, and she was like, there's this new company called Tesla. Like, we need to invest in it. Like, we need to get stocks in it. And I was just like, well, I don't, I really didn't know what I was doing or anything, but my mom, she
Right.
did have a little bit of knowledge about the subject. So she was able to trickle that down to me and my sister. So we all bought shares in Tesla very early on. And we've held them for the last 10 years. And just through that process of seeing my portfolio grow, especially the way that it did with a company like Tesla, who now we know is one of the biggest electric car companies in the world. It made me want to learn more about investing and made me want to invest in more things. So I also worked at Apple, and we had stock options where I worked there. So I bought into the stock options and just seeing that grow that way as well. So I'm just super passionate because I felt like I was lucky to have a mom who knew a little something about stocks, and my grandmother also invested in stocks. So I just was like, I want to be able to share what I know with other people. So I've actually got a lot of my friends to invest in stocks. I've bullied them, why aren't you doing this? You need to be doing this. One of my really good friends, I had to bully him into buying. He's like, no, I need more time. I need to save. And I'm just like, no, you need to do this. So he actually bought Uber when it was $14. So he's seeing his stock portfolio grow too. So yeah, I just love sharing my knowledge of what I do know. I'm no expert by any means. I'm always learning and always practicing. But yeah, that's a little bit about my background. Hey, Ashton.
Hey there. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. For those who are just tuning in, I'm here with Jasmine Alyssa, and we are talking stocks today. And I'm so excited. She just explained to us that this is something she's been doing for 10 years. So, you know, it's nothing better to do than just get started, you know, and that's what I want to motivate everyone today to do. And we're going to hop right into this thing.
Okay, let's
Okay.
do it.
So you already explained you've been investing for 10 years and it was your mother that motivated you. And that's one of the things that I want this conversation to be about, is that this isn't something that stops with us, but it's something that we pass on for generations, because that's where you find generational wealth. And I think that a lot of the time we don't have these conversations at home, you know, so I think it's a beautiful thing that your mom and your grandmother kind of, you know, presented that to you, so that you know, like, this is a way to actually have financial freedom, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
What would you say for those who are saying it's intimidating, I don't understand it? What's an easy way to get started?
There's this app that I really love. I look at it every day, Monday through Friday, because the stock market's not open on the weekends. But I'm gonna show it to you guys, and I talked about it in some of my lives, and that is the stock app. I have my iPad, so that's the stock app. This is a great way to get started. Like, you can start kind of like looking at companies that you like. You can add them to your watch list. You can kind of like read up on news. You can see where the stock prices are. You can see where the stock prices have been. So it's like a really good resource for people to get started. Like, you don't even have to invest, but you can just start to like build up a watch list of stocks that you might be interested in, and just start getting a feel for like how the stock market works, as far as like numbers fluctuating, moving up and down, and things like that. So I really love that as a resource for sure. And I don't think that people should be intimidated, because you just have to like get out there and want to find out the information. And that's kind of the same thing that I kind of always talk about. Like, the information is out there for you to get started. You just have to like want to do it. And you don't need a lot of money to get started at all. There are stocks that are like penny stocks. Like, penny stocks are like anything under $5. So you can find stocks that are really cheap. Like, I just invested in this company called the ticker, or like what you would find it under in the stock market, is MARA, M-A-R-A. And I bought it when it was like $1.90, and I spent like $100, and it went up to like all the way up to $6. So you don't need a lot of money to start. I invested $100, and you know, that was just like one investment that I did. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love just mentioning the cheaper stocks. It's a good way to get started. I don't know why my phone keeps wanting to pause. It's a good way to get started, because you can kind of use some play money. You know, I feel like
Yeah.
when you start with something small, it doesn't hurt as bad if you were to lose. And I feel like that's one of the things about being an investor, is being willing to take risks. But if you start with a smaller risk, you'll get more comfortable with taking the larger risk, you know, with
Yeah.
buying a Tesla or buying an Apple, you know, like investing in those stocks as well. Um, you also mentioned, you talked about just getting started with a little bit, you know. Would you say that, and you talked about, you know, companies that you like. What would you recommend in terms of finding those companies? Would you say like companies that you shop with? Do you think that that's a good way to get started with the companies that you're already investing in, like say a Nike, or, you know, you're buying an Apple computer, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you can look around your house and say like, oh, I have an IKEA. I buy from IKEA. I use this type of refrigerator. I use this type of television. And you can just like go and look up and see, you know, research a little bit about that company, see where their stock price is. You can add it to your watch list, like I was saying, if you're not comfortable with like jumping in and investing right away. But I think it's good to start with things that you know or you're familiar with. So you could just start to get a feel and an idea. Also, there's tons of resources online where you can just go. Like, I follow like a ton of stock pages. So what happens in my like my feed, I get all these different like stocks. It's like, like today I saw that there was a whole bunch of companies that are going to have an IPO, and initial public offering, that are coming up in if not like the end of this year, next year. So like, I posted about that. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So there's so many resources online where you can just see different stocks. And like I said, if you don't feel like you want to jump in right away, the watch list is a really good place for you to just start to get familiar with different stocks.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's one of the privileges of our generation, is that we have the internet, we have social
Yeah.
media, and there's
Yeah.
so many resources out there. There's so many people that are providing free information. You know, just follow other traders, you know, Google traders and find people who are just sharing what they're investing in, and not saying that you should necessarily, you know, dive into what they're doing, but just take the information and then go and do your own research. And, you know,
Absolutely.
they might be investing in something that you had on your mind, and they're telling you why they foresee this actually growing, or they foresee this company growing. So I think that, you know, just having it all around you, you know, having the information around you, you know, by on your timeline, making sure you're following a good amount of people who are talking about the stock market, and then actually going on YouTube and using these free resources is going to motivate you and get you more excited to just get started. And
Yeah.
can you say the name of the app again? It was
It's just the
stocks.
stock. If you have any of the Apple products, it's just called Stocks. It's just the stock app. And it's on most everybody's phone unless you deleted it. It comes on all of the Apple products, and you can just go there. Another resource, if you don't like, you know, if you have like an Android or something like that, you can always use like E-Trade, which is like a selling platform, or Fidelity, or a lot of young investors or new investors use Robinhood and things like that. So you can find, like, you can add watch lists on all of those things. You can research the companies on all of those things. You can find like related news on those companies for on if you use different apps or different brokerage platforms is what I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I started out with Robinhood, and you can just click on the company and it's going to give you the background. It's going to show you, you know, their charts from over the years. Like, there's really no excuse not to just take a few minutes. It only
Yeah.
takes a few minutes just to research a couple companies. Start out with 3 to 5 companies on your watch list, and just start to follow them and see their growth, and that's going to motivate you to get started. I love
I
that.
think a lot of
Um,
people, like, for so long have felt like they couldn't get into the stock market, like it was so far fetched, or, you know, they didn't have the education, like maybe their parents weren't doing it or their grandparents
right.
weren't doing it. So there is a lot of intimidation around that, just because people think that, you know, people don't know, how to get started, they don't know, you know, whereas, like, if they're going to lose money, people are like, they have like, oh, it's so risky and things like that, but there's so much benefit to investing as well, and it can be very lucrative, and a lot of people make a lot of money off of it, especially during the pandemic. A lot of people have made a lot of money.
Yes, I love it. I love it. What are some changes, being that you've been investing for 10 years, what are some changes that you've noticed over the years in the stock market?
I would say that I noticed that a lot of people are starting to invest, or like a lot of new investors like to do, they just like to get individual stocks. Like, they're like a company like Tesla, or they're like a company like Apple, and they're just decide they want to just get shares in that. I've also noticed that because I have been investing for a long time, I just think it's important to know that, like, the stock market is geared to always try to go up, and it's like always trying to go up. So you should just people just need to be patient, basically, when investing, and knowing that it's not like a get rich overnight thing. You can
Right.
wake up literally one day and all your, you know, not all, you're not going to lose all your money, but the stock can be extremely down. And then the next day it could be extremely up. Like, it's just, there's so many different factors that go into affecting the stock price, like news, and when people have, you know, their earning reports come out and things like that. So yeah, being patient
Yeah.
in the stock market, and also deciding whether you're going to be like an investor or a trader, are things that are important.
That's good. That's good. I think that, like you said, patience is key. And
Yes.
this is coming from a new investor who just started investing this year. Um, you know, you can get obsessed with looking, you know, at your portfolio, and every day, throughout the day, even, it goes up and down. And you have to think long term. For me, you know, as wanting to actually invest in my future, and not, for me, I feel like day trading is something that, you know, something I'll probably, you know, dabble into later. But right now, I just want to see, like, what I can do with my money over the long term. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that a lot of people are like, I want to see instant gratification. I want to see money now, you know, and when they see it go down, they're like, I'm going to pull it out, rather than sitting and
Yeah.
holding and being patient, you know, like you
To
said.
keep your emotions
Um,
out of the stock market, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What trends should we pay attention to? You mentioned how different things can affect stock prices. It's not just necessarily performance. What trends should we pay attention to, whether it be in politics or the economy, that make an impact on the stock market?
Well, things like who was just elected president made a big effect on the stock market, because certain presidents or certain leaders or certain things that happen into the in the economy, like the pandemic, affected the stock market a lot. Donald Trump winning versus Joe Biden winning affected the stock market a lot because they have different agendas. So things like that matter. Whether there's bubbles, so we'll have bubbles sometimes where it's just like, oh, like tech is doing so good and everybody's investing into tech, but then like at some point it kind of like has this like bursting effect where then now all the tech's going down, or people are investing in airlines before and then the pandemic hit and now all the airline stocks went down, but now they're starting to recover because people are starting to travel again, or like they're going to start putting planes back into the sky and things like that. So just like overall like conditions in our economy, everything affects the stock market price, like what people value, what people think is going to be important in the future, as far as like what do they think that they want to invest in, like are people investing in energy because that's the new wave, because now we have Joe Biden, he's very much energy focused. People are investing in marijuana stock because he's wants to legalize marijuana for certain usages. So those things like all like affect, like because I had a stock in a marijuana stock and it like, oh my gosh, it went down to like nothing, like it's like damn near worthless. But it started to improve because there's all this talk around like legalizing marijuana. So those things do affect the stock price. Acquisition.
That's so good.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was agreeing
affect the stock price too. Go ahead.
And a lot of the time, I think that goes back to the benefit of holding, right? Because we may have a president in office who has a certain set of beliefs, and then Joe Biden is coming in with this, now he wants to legalize marijuana, and you might have taken that stock, you might have sold that stock, and then he comes in and it rises. So I think that we have to really do the research. Again, I'm going to keep saying that because again, we're not professionals, but you want to do the research and look at what professionals are foreseeing in the future, because that should really, really play a role in what you're investing in. You don't want to be investing in a stock and then a new president comes into office and he's, not putting any funding into that field. And then here you are, you're losing a lot of money. So those are things that you really want to pay attention to. Definitely a great tip. How important do you think, we talked about this a little bit, but how important is it to invest and hold? I know a lot of people struggle with the idea of putting their money into the stock market when they could just see it sit in a savings account and see it grow. But with just the compound interest and all the things that you can do with the stock market, how do you feel, how important is it for us to invest and hold?
Well, investing and holding is the way. Your money sitting in a savings account does not grow really at all. It grows like my 1% or something very low like that. Whereas you can put your money into the stock market and it can grow by 40% or 10% a year. It just kind of depends. There's so many stocks, especially this year with the pandemic, that are up, like Zoom and, Square, all these stuff that we have to use now that we're in this predicament that we're in, that are really going up. So, I think that investing long term is definitely the way to go, especially if you're a new investor. I don't think that people should dibble and dabble in day trading or swing trading until they really have a full grasp understanding of how the stock market works, because you get into situations where you let your emotions, like I could have sold that marijuana stock and now it's like going up because I was losing money. And don't get me wrong, because I still struggle with like taking my emotions out of it. It's definitely a skill to not get emotional when you see like you invested in something. Like I bought Boeing when it was super high because I was being emotional, and I like ended up lowering my position, which I think is good to do. I lowered my position because I wanted to like take that money that I was already like losing, which is bleeding so bad, and I wanted to invest it in somewhere else. But like now Boeing's up again, so it's just like it's very important to just like ride the wave of the stock market and just like let it do its thing, because it's going to go like this. And I think that what you said was important. It's good to look at your stock portfolio every day. It's good to look and see where your money's at, but you have to control your emotions with that. So I look at
Mhm.
my stock portfolio every day. I wake up every morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, like where are we? You know, like what's going on?
Mhm.
Or the stock's going up, or you know, what's different ones, because I have a couple of different positions. But I think it's definitely important to like get used to the idea of buying and holding long term, because that's when I feel you see like your money grow. Unless you know what you're doing, you can swing trade. That's all fine and dandy. But like for people who are like new investors, definitely buy and hold. It's super important. Don't leave your money in savings account. I recently kind of went like all in the stock market. I took like a lot of my money out of my savings account and put it into the market because I'm seeing it grow as a result of that.
I love it. I love it. I feel like now's the time. You know, a lot of our viewers are millennials, and I feel like now's the time to be a little more risky, you know, and take those risks. And you know, you can easily put that money in the savings account, but like you said, the amount of growth that you're going to see in the stock market is so much more beneficial. And in the long run, you're going to really be proud of yourself when you see those numbers growing. For those who have a limited amount of capital to start with, would you recommend spreading that around, like diversifying your portfolio, or increasing your amount of shares in a small amount of companies?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that if you have. I mean, because there's penny stocks, you can get partial shares. Like you don't have to get like the full share. So if I want to just put a couple of dollars into, I don't particularly do it. I'm kind of like an all in kind of girl. But if you don't have
Mm-hmm.
the funds where you can't buy a full share of Disney or buy a full share of Apple, you can buy like fractional shares and you can work your way up to buying full shares. And I definitely think that you should diversify. So I don't have like all my money into like one particular industry. I kind of have it spread around. I have energy and I have technology and I have, you know, maybe some commodities like gold and things like that. So definitely diversifying is key, because not every industry is going to always be up. Sometimes it's going to be down. So it's good to have your money like in different places so that you kind of have like a happy medium. You kind of have like a balance.
That's good. That's really good. And that's another thing that goes along with the trends, and doing the research to see what industry is trending right now, so that you know where to split your funds. So definitely I recommend too, just, you know, if you don't have a whole lot to start with, just starting, you know, with a few different industries and then adding to the buying more shares of those stocks, because that's where you're going to see the growth. You know, it's one thing to just start with a little bit and let it sit, but I feel like we should continually be adding to those stocks so that we are seeing true growth.
Especially people who work,
Yeah.
you know, you can put a little bit of money into the stock market each paycheck, you know, not to say the people that work, but people who have like a steady income, you know, like if you have like a steady stream of
Yeah.
income, freelancers and things like that who may not be able to do that on a consistent basis. But if you have like a steady
Right.
paycheck where you can just put a little bit in at a time, you can really watch it grow.
Hmm. So I've, you know, listened to a lot of traders, and a lot of people say that you should keep the amount of stocks that you have, like the amount of different companies that you are invested in, below, like certain people have different numbers. Some people say below 10, some people say below 12. Or do you feel like, do you believe in diversifying your portfolio so much that you have a lot of stocks, or do you think that we should just keep it to a condensed amount so we're not overwhelmed?
I mean, I think it depends on the person. I have like 26 positions of different companies that I've invested in, and I like having that. I'm not saying that all of them are up, some of them are down. But I personally like to kind of like have my hand in a little bit of everything. I have heard of people saying like, oh, I just, you know, you should just focus on maybe having five. I know a lot of swing traders do that. They like just focus on a set fixed amount and they like work with those. And I get that, because you're like you're looking at different charts and there's so much different stuff going
Right.
on, so you don't want to have like a whole bunch of positions. But for me, like I just was like, I'm gonna find companies that I like, that I see potential in long term, and I'm just gonna like invest in them. And I might not invest like a whole bunch of money, like, or get a whole bunch of shares, but I just have like, you know, little ones here and there. I might have 5 shares, I might have 10, I might have 100, I might have 25, and those prices are like all over the place as well. So it really balances out for me. So I like to kind of just, I think I'm kind of done this year. I kind of went crazy this year and bought
Okay.
a lot of different like I said, I went all in. So I'm kind of done investing for right now. Of course, if I see an opportunity, I definitely will get back in, but I'm comfortable with how my portfolio is right now. And I don't want to add anything too crazy unless, you know, like there's some IPOs that are coming up that I'm interested in, but otherwise I just, you know, I'm kind of done for right now.
So you were able to take advantage of the stock prices going down this year? Because I know that there were a lot of people, like you said. Yeah. I feel like now a lot of people get overwhelmed, or a lot of people start to sell their stocks during times like this, you know, when the economy is not doing its best. But that's when we should be taking advantage, right? And taking advantage of those low prices.
Absolutely. This is a time to buy.
Yeah. How often are you adding to your portfolio? Do you have like a certain, you know, are they just based on when you see a company is hot, or are you like, okay, I want to invest in this amount of companies this month? Like, what is your strategy?
Well, what I do is like I'll add companies to my watch list. So if someone like if I hear about a company or I see, you know, or someone tells me about a company or I see it online or something like that, I'll just add it to my stock for my watch list, and then I'll just like kind of keep an eye on it, like do some research and like see what's going on with the company if there's different news going on. I don't necessarily just have like a strategy. I'm kind of like spontaneous with it. I'll like add companies to my watch list and just kind of keep an eye on them. And then I'll might jump in if I feel like it's a good time, based on like where that company is at, like financially, and like where it's at, like market wise. I might invest and jump in, but I don't necessarily have like I'm going to do, you know, I'm not like a swing trader yet. I'm trying to like learn more about it. I'm more so a long-term investor. And I feel like when you kind of just like keep adding, that's more so like people who do like swing trading or day trading or hedging and things like that. And I'm not really doing that. I'm just kind of like, I do it sometimes. Like I'll take money out sometimes, but more so I just like leave it in. I leave it in for the most part.
And with, you know, finding different strategies, I know that there's a lot of different ways to research and determine what companies are, you know, good companies to invest in. And two of those are the analysis between fundamental and technical analysis. Can you kind of break down what those are? Just, you know, very basic breakdown of what those two things are.
So yeah, like some people use one or the other. I think it's good to use both because I think that they kind of go hand in hand. But fundamental analysis is when you're kind of looking at the financial statements, the overall health of the company, where it's at in compared to its competitors, where it's at in terms of the economy as a whole, both global and domestically. So you might just look at like their financials to see like, are they profitable? What's their their debt ratio? You might want to look at what their liabilities are, and you can find all those things by looking at their financial statements. And then technical analysis is more so like looking at charts and doing trends on a chart basis of like where the price was, like certain days. There's like moving averages, so you can kind of like chart, you can see a chart of like all the prices, what they were all were for a certain amount of days. So you can choose it to be 200 days or 50 days or 5 days or 20 days. And you can kind of just look at different trends like that. And then there's also like the TSI, the RSI, the MACD. There's so many different things that people also factor in when looking at charts to kind of decide whether they're going to jump in, and that would be technical analysis. So you're going to decide whether you're going to jump, if it's like a buying signal or a selling signal based off of where all these things are working on the chart.
Awesome. And I think that, you know, because this is all stuff that I'm still learning, but I think that, you know, those things come in handy when you are determining when to get into a company. Because a lot of the time we know we have the companies on our watch list, but it's just determining on when's a good time to buy, you know, because you want to, the key is to buy low and sell high, right?
Absolutely.
So you want to just know when to jump in. And those analysis help with that.
Yeah, they definitely help with that. And I think that chart reading is a skill. You know, it's definitely a skill. Like it's easy, it's kind of easier to do the fundamental analysis because you can kind of just say like, oh, let me see where they, you know, their financials are and things like that. But like technical analysis is a little bit more complex because you have to kind of learn how to read the charts and learn to like see what you're trying to look for and like know what kind of signals all go into place. I know one of the questions were like, where do you think that people could go to kind of learn more about reading charts? There's tons of materials on reading charts on YouTube. There's tons of people that on Instagram, the Instagram platform, that talk about the chart reading. There's books out there that people can use to learn about charts. And it takes some time to get used to it. And it takes some time to like, because it could be very overwhelming and confusing at first. But I feel like if people look at YouTube videos and just like really like, just like I use Investopedia a lot. Like I have terms that come to me every day that you can sign up for. So I get emailed a different term every day. If I'm like ever like curious about a certain thing, like you can literally go on Investopedia and Google, or put in their search engine technical analysis and just kind of like really dive deep into what's going on and how that works. And you can go to different keywords within these like different like terminologies. It's kind of like a dictionary. So within these terminologies, you can find more stuff and just keep diving deeper into learning about different things.
That's a good tip. Investopedia.
Yeah.
Investopedia.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it can be intimidating. I know there's probably some people watching like, what does this mean? What is that word? But to have resources out there that will like give you the plain definition of just different terms is going to help us, you know. And I feel like it's just something we need to, whatever we can, whether it's the Stocks app, whether it's the Yahoo Finance, whether it's Investopedia, like we just need to have these apps on our phone, check them out, you know, once a day just to get started, so that you can get more comfortable, and before you know it, you'll be more acclimated to all the terminology, and you'll be in this thing, okay? And we just want you to get in this thing.
Absolutely.
How would you motivate someone who has lost money that they've invested?
I feel like I just tell, because I have had friends that lost money, or I have friends that will text me like, damn, I sold this and I like wish I didn't sell it because now it's up, or I lost some money in this. It's just a part of it. It's a part of it. This isn't like a quick scheme. The stock market goes up and down. You lose money. Sometimes you're not always right. But like you said, it's good to do your due diligence, like doing research and, you know, making sure that you really understand, have a good grasp of like what a basic understanding of how the stock market works before you necessarily like just jump in. But yeah, I just tell my friends like, it's gonna go back up, like, you know, just relax, like, or just ride the wave, because we all go through it. You know, we all have stocks in our portfolios that aren't doing well, and then like the next day they can do well. You know, I had Boeing that wasn't doing well for a long time. Like I invested in it when it was high, and now it's finally starting to turn a profit for me. So just like riding the wave and not getting discouraged and understanding that that's a part of the stock market and they'll be fine. Patience.
I love it. Patience. We've been talking though a lot about holding. When do you know it's a good time to sell?
I think that there's nothing wrong with taking profits. I bought Fiverr, which is like it's like a freelance app. Well, you know, a freelance. So it really started to blow up like this year, but I had bought it and then it had went all the way down. So I did take profits on that and I ended up reinvesting it. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking profits out. But I guess it really just depends on the investor. You know, you don't want to take profits out too soon, because then like it'll start to go up and you're like, damn, I should have just waited, or I should have just held on. But if there's something that you really want to do with that money, or you want to, you know, make a different investment, like maybe into real estate or a down payment, or you want to pay off some bills or pay off some debt, I think that there's nothing wrong with taking profits. So it just kind of depends on you. If you're a long-term investor, that might not look the same as someone who's a short-term investor who's just constantly jumping in and out of positions. So it just varies.
Yeah. That's a good example you bring up with you know, saying you want to take out your money to you know, invest in real estate. Would you recommend, say we have different savings goals, right? We might have retirement goals, and then we might have goals to buy a home or something like that of that nature. Do you recommend having separate brokerage accounts for those type of things if we're investing for different reasons?
You don't necessarily need to. I have two brokerage accounts, not by choice, but just because I started with Fidelity, and then when I worked at Apple, they use E-Trade. So you don't necessarily have to have different accounts. That kind of like are pretty much nowadays. All the brokerage accounts are the same. They're not charging any commission fees. They all kind of eliminated that. So it's just really based on preference, like what company, like what platform do you like the best. But I don't necessarily think that you need to like separate it unless you just want to. I don't see like a big difference in that. It's just kind of like, for me, I kind of want mine both in the same place, but it's like, it's okay that they're not. There's not that big of a difference.
Right.
And I actually bought some more Apple in my Fidelity account, but I have Apple in my E-Trade account just from when I worked for the company. So just depends.
Okay. Yeah. So I think some of the keys here is just finding out what your goals are, you know, and determining what's going to work best for you. And then also determining what are companies that you're going to actually be invested in, you know, and be willing to invest for the long term, I think are going to really help you stay motivated and stay put when things look like they're going south, you know, and trust that the market is going to go back up. I believe this has been a good week. So like, we just have to stay educated, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, so that we can stay educated and just to get the common knowledge out there and give you the keys, our viewers the keys to go ahead and get started and figure things out for themselves. So thank you for answering those questions. We're gonna hop into the money game, and these are just basic questions. Just, you know, some stock related questions that some people may go through, may not, but I want to get your take on them. You ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so Nicole has 3 stocks in the same industry, but wants to diversify her portfolio. Do you recommend she keep her current stocks or sell 1 or 2 of them in order to invest in a different sector?
So I love this question that you asked, and it goes back into what I was just talking about. It's okay to take profits. So my answer to that is, say that some of the companies that was one of the 3 companies that she invested in is doing well in her stock portfolio, and she's made profits off of it. She can sell what that profit is. She doesn't have to sell all the stock. She doesn't have to sell all her shares. She can take some of the profits from some of those shares and she can reinvest it in something else. And I think that that's very important to do. I do that sometimes. Like, I might not want to dig into my savings account. I'm kind of pretty much all in, but I may not want to dig into my savings account. So like I said, I took profits or took losses that I had in some other companies and I reinvested it. Like, maybe this company will be better. And I think that that's what she should do if she's in that situation. Or if she has some extra cash outside of that, she can stay and ride the wave with those 3 stocks and invest outside money. But if not, she can take profits and invest that money.
I love that. A lot of people don't, well, I don't know about a lot of people, but I don't think everyone thinks to do that. That, you know, just take some of the shares, you know, just take some of the profit and you know, to diversify your portfolio. You can do that and then see growth somewhere else. I think that is really important, not to put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to stocks. And you want to see diversity so that you can see, like you said, one moment tech might be up, the next moment energy might be up. So you need to be looking into what is actually growing and what sectors are hot right now so that you can be a part of that. You don't want to miss the wave. Right. So I love that. I love that recommendation. Okay, next question. So Sam has been investing in stocks recommended by his coworker, but has not learned to read stock charts because he finds them overwhelming. What is a good way, and we kind of talked about this, but what's a good way for Sam to learn to research and understand stock charts?
By just diving in. Google is your best friend. Investopedia is your best friend. YouTube is your best friend. Instagram is your best friend. You can literally type in stock charts on Instagram. You never even have to leave the app, and you can learn more or learn everything that you need to know. Or if you like don't have an understanding of it, you can ask questions. A lot of the people that kind of talk about this stuff, they're really open to like answering your questions. Like, I did a live with a guy who I was like following, and I like he talks about the charts and everything like that, and I was like able to ask him side questions. I was thinking about investing in a company. I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And like, they're super responsive and super helpful. So I think that just using your resources that are around you, that are available. And then, like you said, they haven't been this available. Then right now, like everybody can access any information that they want to find out. The information's out there. The information's free. So yeah, just like taking his time to like read the terms and watch videos and like, and the thing that I love about YouTube is like, if I get confused about something, I can always like rewind and go back and like, just kind of like make sure that I understand before moving on. When is it? Oh, you see the question? When is
yes,
it
yes.
best
When is it best to invest in ETFs?
You can invest in ETFs at any
What's your
time.
take?
Anytime, right now, because I mean, some people like to do individual stocks, but ETFs are great because it's like, it's a whole bunch of stuff like mixed in together. So yeah, like you don't have to necessarily, there's no time like the present. So if you find an ETF that you like, or you find a sector that you like, go ahead and invest in it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good point for those who are a little intimidated about choosing companies to invest in. Invest in an ETF. You're going to get a piece of the pie in different companies. And that way you can feel like, you're getting a little bit of more, So I definitely think jump in that thing, especially for those who are intimidated about picking stocks.
Yeah, if you're intimidated or you're not sure what you want to invest in, like, why not? There's so many different things out there too, I feel like, and I just want to say this, I just feel like, getting individual stocks are great, but there's so many different things that like, people do to make money in the stock market. They do options, they do swing trading, they do day trading, they do futures. Like there's so much. And I just been like taking this time to really, especially like over the last 2 years, I've been really taking the time to like educate myself and all these different options. Like there are even places where you don't even have to use your own money to invest. You can borrow money to invest. And if you were to like lose that money, you just, you owe what you borrow. But there's just so many ways that you can make money in the stock market, not even using your money at times.
And there's practice apps out there. I know there's different things that you can use to kind of like, if you're not ready to get started, I just believe, just getting started is the best way. Start small, if you don't have the funds, I know everyone doesn't have money to play with. But if you're spending money on food, if you're spending money at a restaurant, take that money and put it in the stock market and go to the grocery store.
Jordans, clothes, all this stuff that you don't need. Absolutely.
Exactly. And, choose, for Christmas, get your child some stock, or get your, I feel like that's, invest in someone's future and not just their right now, invest in your future and not just your right now. I think that there's so much. And we don't got nothing but time right now. Nothing but time to learn, and like you said, learn options, learn the difference between day trading and swing trading and all these different things so that you can determine which one's going to, best suit you. This is the time to do the research, and that's why we're here, just to kind of present it to you, but also give you the liberty to kind of take this and run with it. So I'm so excited that so many of you are here and interested in learning more about stocks. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Anything? Why don't you share with us any like highlights of your stock journey?
I recently reached the goal that I have been trying to reach, thanks to Tesla. But I wanted my stock portfolio to get to a certain price, and I was just like, I just wanted to get here. Like I just wanted to get here, and I was just like being patient. When I was in college, I sold some of my Tesla stock prematurely, and I just like always like beat myself up about it. It was a learning lesson. I was young, I didn't know better, but it did help. Help me with like paying for college and things like that. So like, getting to this goal of where I wanted my stock portfolio to be like was very rewarding to me. And it's kind of just like continue to be on an up and up. So I would say that like having a goal of where you want your money to get to one day, and then just like working hard to like, with investing in different stocks to get there is something that I think that everybody should do. So yeah, that was like a highlight. I was just like, oh my God, my mom was like, oh my gosh, it finally reached that point. Like, I'm so happy. Because it just feels rewarding, like when you can, set certain goals and make them like happen.
Yeah. And we all want to get to that point. I want all of you to get to that point. So, just hang in there And like we keep saying, get started, because I feel like that's the best part. You know, just as we talked about a few weeks ago with savings, just seeing that goal reached is what's going to motivate you to keep going. So just set small goals, and then, you know, as you reach those goals, keep, you know, growing, and watch what you're able to accomplish, you know, over the years, over the months, will make it all worth it. So thank you so much, Jazz. I appreciate you for sharing this information. I know it's a lot, you know, for those who haven't gotten started yet, or those who are new to investing. It's a lot, but it's not something that we can't accomplish. So that's why I wanted to bring you here, someone who's been doing this for quite some time, to motivate us that we can do it.
Thank you so
So
much for
thank you.
having me, and keep this up. I love
Oh,
this. I love this topic. I love that you're sharing your knowledge with, you know, your audience, and, you know, I think that it's wonderful. I
of
really
course, thank you. And go check out Jazz's page, because she has some lives as well where she does dig a little bit deeper. For those who, you know, are already in this thing and want to learn a little bit more, I definitely suggest you go check her out. And yeah, tell us where we can follow you. Tell us where we can find you.
At All Access Jazz, and yeah, that's where you guys can find me. I do lives. Let's talk about stocks and talk about different aspects of the stock market. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, like, feel free to DM me. I'm no expert, but I do like to share what knowledge I do have with people. There's a lot of resources on my page under my highlight stocks, where you can kind of get the steps to, like, starting your portfolio, starting your brokerage account, talk about different terms. And yeah, if you ever have any questions, make sure you DM me. I will try to answer your questions to the best of my ability.
Awesome. Make sure y'all do that, okay? Don't have questions and don't ask them, okay? There's so many people, like you said, you just reached out to someone you were following and he was very helpful. So reach out to people, ask the questions. Don't just sit back and not do it, you know? Get your questions answered and start making this money, okay? Thank
Hey,
you, thank you, thank you again, Jazz.
thank
Thank you for
you.
everyone who watched. We will be back next week, and we're actually going to be digging more into stock options, so you don't want to miss it. Same time, same place. But until then, have a great weekend. Thank you, guys. Have a good
Thank you,
weekend.
Renee.
Love
Talk
y'all.
to you later.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Hey, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Friday Name a Better Duo, the last one of the month before the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm so very excited about what I have to share with you today, me and my guest. Yes, very excited about today's topic. And just this whole series has been so fun to me. It's something that I've been enjoying learning a lot more about, and I hope that you are enjoying it as well. Hey, Donna. And we're going to talk more finance, more business, more money, and all that jazz that we don't always like to talk about. But it's so very important, and something that we need to talk about, something we need to educate ourselves on, because, child, I'm just out here trying to figure it out. And I'm sure a lot of us are in that same boat. So let's figure it out. Hey, Grandma. I mean, I can't help that your name is that long, Parodonna. It's not my fault. He said, dang, the full government. That's why I said that. Oh, our guest is here. Yes. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining. So excited to get started. Thomas! I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Make sure it's not me. I can see you well. That's good.
All right. I can hear you
There
now.
you go. Hey!